Okay, so we've got our stats being sent across the network for our kills and our deaths, but of course this is all great for us in the editor, but we need to be able to update our players to display this information. So we're going to add a little bit of information on the top corner of our screen here to say how many deaths and how many kills our players have. So let's go to our canvas here, and I'm going to switch to my 2D view so I can see it. And I'm going to grab this health label and duplicate it, and I'm going to move this up to the top up here, like roughly about there, I'd say. Change the anchor point to the top left, and we're still aligned to the left. That's great. So I'm going to call this I'm going to say kills :0. I'm going to make this a bit smaller too, because I think that's a little bit big. So let's say our maximum will be 60, no, 45-ish. There we go. I think that works a little bit better. And we'll align it to the top like so. Okay, let's do the same with the other labels actually. Just looking at them, they're a little bit too big. Let's put them at 45. There we go. That works for us. Then let's go back to our health label here. Let's rename this to be the kills label. Then I'm going to duplicate this again and call this one the deaths label, and this is obviously going to say deaths :0, and then we're going to move this down. So now we've got kills and deaths in here, and obviously we're going to need to make these work. So let's first of all add them to our UI controller. So let's go to canvas and UI controller, and we're going to add two TMP text. So public TMP text, one for kills, oops, that's two L's, not two S's, kills text, and deaths text. So save that, and then we're going to need to update these whenever some changes happen. So let's jump back to our Match Manager script, and we're going to add a new function just down here called public void update stats display. And in here we're going to say on the UI controller .instance .kills text .text, so however many kills we have is going to be equal to kills : and then plus we want to say what our players' kills are. So how we can do that is by going into our all players list and looking at position index, which hopefully you should remember. Our index that we created up here is set to be us. Whenever we get the full player list, when we receive the player list, we check and see, hey, is the one of the players we received our actor number, and then we set our index to be that value. So that's how we know where we are in the all players list. So our position in the list is index, and then we want to get the kills from that. And we'll do the same then for our deaths. So UI controller .instance .deaths text .text equals deaths : plus all players at position index dot deaths. Okay, so that'll display our deaths, but just above this I want to do one thing to be safe, and I'm going to say if our all players dot count is greater than whatever our index is. So we're just making sure that for some reason the player count hasn't been changed in a weird way, and we're making sure that our index value is still a logical index value that works in our all players list. So we're just making sure that that's correct, and we're also going to then say else. So if there's anything strange going on there, just set our values to be 0. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to remove the extra bit here and just say kills 0, deaths 0. Okay, so let's just save that. Let's go back up here. So whenever our stats are changed, whenever any stats are changed, obviously we update whatever information we have on the player list. And then below doing our update change, we're going to do a check here to see if I is equal to index. So basically here we're saying if the player that a stat value is being changed on is us, so if we're the one that's having a value changed, then update what our stats currently say. Like so. So let's save this. We can go back into our game here, and actually just thinking about it, this one is perfectly fine because essentially all we're doing is making some changes to how the code runs on our machine. Let's just start another player up here just so we can have them going in the background. Oh, I've got an error. What error do I have? I've missed a close bracket. There we go. I missed one close bracket there, so let's go back in. We don't necessarily have to rebuild the whole game. Obviously, this player over here doesn't have that information up here, but we're just affecting locally how that's going to display. So now I could go ahead and play the game here. I can find that room and connect, and now all we're doing is changing how the events are read by this machine. So where was that player? There they are. So I can shoot them. And oh, I didn't assign the correct things to my canvas, of course. So that's not going to work very well. So put our kills there and our deaths there. And we'll try again. Set the name, find the room, join the room. And if we go and find that player again, wherever they respawn to, we get the fun adventure of hunting this down. Also, I'm just thinking we should probably maximize this so we can see what's going on a little bit better for everyone watching. If I go over here and kill this guy, boom, there we go. Now I get one death. If we go find them again, let's see if we can get one more kill. This would probably be a lot easier if I just cheated and looked at the other little screen, but here we are. Oh, apparently they're just gone forever. Let's see if I can find them over here. Oh, there they are, hiding in the corner. So let's take them out. Okay, so we're definitely getting our 2 kills correctly. Then let's switch over to this one. And I'm going to run over and kill myself. So I can kill that player. And there we go. We've got our kills 2, deaths 1. So perfect. That's all working the way we would expect in our game. Everything makes logical sense. And our game is actually fully working the way we want it to. So perfect. One thing I just want to point out and note here is that there is a warning error appearing down here. You can see this happened when our player died. It's basically just giving us a warning that it's trying to do something for a photon view that was destroyed, which is our photon view. This is simply just a warning. It's not really an error. It's really not something to worry about in the game. It's just saying, hey, something was trying to happen, but our player has been destroyed. So it's not going to... it's trying to basically kill the player again, but the player has already been destroyed. So it's not something we need to worry about. It's just something to be aware of, just in case you've noticed it yourself. It's not a bad thing. It's just one of those things that appear. Generally speaking, in a game that is going to be built and available on Steam or anything like that, there will be plenty of these kind of warnings that you have in your game that you just ignore, that don't really affect how the game runs. It's just something to be aware of. That's all. But apart from that, we're now able to update our stats correctly and see them on the screen for our players.